The deer I shot this year took probably about 10,000 hours to get them. In this video, I'm going to show you how it is that we're able to walk right up to deer, hunt just for a short while, be in the right place at the right time, and get a big one with seemingly no effort. And it seems like magic, but there's this thing going around called the 10,000 hour rule.
The 10,000 hour rule. That it's not just a matter of, well, this person's a genius, this person has an amazing ability. It is actual practice and hard work.
You need to have practiced for 10,000 hours before you get good.
What we really are trying to connect to with this video is that it took 10,000 hours or more of experience in shooting, in walking, in knowing the land and everything else in order to get to a spot where I'm in the right place at the right time and it just happens. Most all of us, especially us older guys who are good at what we do when it comes to tracking, and I've been doing it a long time, it's mostly because we've got all those hours of experience in it. I look back at how many bullets I probably spit out of a rifle. It's a lot, well over 10,000 rounds, well over that. My deer rifle, I probably easily have 3,000-4,000 rounds through it. Any expert that you know, right? They've easily got 10,000 hours in just small factors of what they do in order to get it. I probably spent an easy 20,000 hours just studying deer. I've been at that since I was probably 12, 13 years old. I've been studying deer, reading every book I could find. In my hunting career, I've tried to amass as many other people's knowledge as I could so that I would take as many shortcuts as possible to get it all, but it still required the practice, and it still required the failures and the wins and all the other things that happen in your hunting career. Myself, I was young and just kind of winged it when I learned hunting. My dad had never shot a deer, so I didn't have much for mentors aside from a friend and his dad, and a lot of reading. I would go to the library when I was in high school and get out all the 777s that were all about hunting, right? In the card catalog. I got out every one of those books, took them all home, read them all, put everyone's knowledge to work for myself as much as I could, and then started bringing it out in the field and taking the knowledge and putting it to practice. It's one thing to know about something, and it's another thing to know about it and put it to use, right? That's the wisdom, is the applied knowledge. And I tried to do that as much as I could, and I learned from all of my lessons as much as I possibly could too. And those factors of wanting to learn, being passionate about what you do, and then also applying it to the best possible outcomes and learning from your mistakes and learning from your wins and applying it and continually over all these years of doing it to hunt from 13 and now I'm 57. I've had time enough to really learn what it is that we do in the Northeast here, which is tracking, right? We love to track bucks. We follow them in the snow and do our best to try and work our way right up to him and find him that day. Our deer density numbers in the Northeast here are so low. And the snow allows us to find that deer that day if it's possible, and hopefully go where he's gone, learn and understand how he's using the woods, sneak up on him, get close to him, and then get a bullet into him and bring him home. And it's a practice that requires a lot of wood skills, a lot of grit. You have to have a ton of grit and just keep going, and a lot of physical ability, a lot of open space, which we generally have here, especially New England, and time, of course, right? Time is a huge factor, and one of the biggest reasons, especially lately, that I've been able to do it on bare ground consistently is because I have so much time. Sometimes the snow doesn't come at all. Sometimes it comes late. Sometimes you only get good snow for 2 or 3 days, and then the snow freezes or changes. And a lot of guys will take up tracking, do it for a little while, and then say, oh, I can't do it, or I'm no good at it, or I'm doing something wrong, when the real truth is you haven't had much practice. Some of the older fellas that have been doing it for a long time, right? The Larry Benoits, Lanny Benoit, Hal Blood, Joe Donito, and those are just maybe some of the little more famous ones around here, but there's tons and tons of not so famous people that are really excellent hunters. They easily have thousands and thousands of hours in working their craft and figuring out and making it work for them. By applying yourself as best you can learning your shooting skills, learning your walking skills, and learning the deer's habits, and learning the area that you're in, and applying yourself on a steady basis and being able to do it over and over and over again through practice. It's not only just practice, but it's a conscious practice where you're really realizing your mistakes and you're realizing what works and what doesn't work, and you're trying to form patterns. And you'll have to also take responsibility, right, for the things you've screwed up, but also to learn from them and take responsibility for your successes and learn from them as well. And you can learn from everybody else, and you can take someone else's mistakes and remember them. And when you see those circumstances showing up, apply it and then not have to go through it yourself. The last and most important thing is to study yourself. Study where you're doing well and where you're not doing so well, and then know the differences between the two, take responsibility for them, and then make changes accordingly. Also, you have to be open. You have to be open to other people's ideas, but don't always set it all in stone, because what works for one person may not necessarily work anywhere near as well for somebody else. So knowing your strengths and what you're good at and what you're able to do is key. And then also too, you need to have an ability to roll the dice. You have to sometimes take a chance. You have to sometimes go to someplace new. You have to try something that you might never have tried before, and being open and flexible is a big part of it. I know a lot of hunters who are not flexible. They don't want to go back down in that swamp the second time. They do not want to climb and get heated up climbing some big huge mountain full of brush, right? So that part of it, make sure that you're applying those parts of yourself to it. And if it's true and that's the way it has to be, well, it will cost you, or you will profit from it, depending on how much you want to get right into it. I think back on all of the time and hours that I've spent doing everything I've done. Very few people around that are even my age or older have as much experience at doing all of this that I do. And of course, you can get some shortcuts, but there's some things you can't shortcut. And you have to realize that, and don't be real hard on yourself if you're not able to pull it off, and just, and someone else just walks in the woods and shoots a deer, and what the hell, right? Everybody will think that, but there's a lot behind what actually happened. And when someone does it consistently, you have to step back and look at that a little bit and say, what's really going on here? If there's an overall message that I want you to take away from this video, is don't be hard on yourself. Keep learning, spend the appropriate amount of time with good practice that you can put to work, that practice that matters, not just an idle doing, but one where you really are discovering all the patterns and then making the best of the pattern that you happen to have. In a nutshell, that's where it's at. If you're interested in learning about this hunt and this particular buck, check it out with this video. And if you're just learning about tracking and want to understand what we do in the Northeast, check out some of these other how-to videos. Hope you had a great hunting season. I know we did. Good luck out there, everybody. Take care.